My name is Jaco EO, founder of JBM, an anti-trafficking organization. 2025 marked our 31st year in the fight against human trafficking and exploitation.
If we bring proper awareness and prevent the crime from happening, that's always the best remedy.
Predators do not want you to know that they target generational abuse.
Policy and legislative reform in our country, all 50 states.
The average cost for a single sexual abuse survivor is over $250,000 across their lifetime.
We are in live rescues with law enforcement, and we support law enforcement because the reality is that there's more slaves today in America than ever before in human history.
The child will identify certain mechanisms and tactics and words that are being used to say, I'm raising a red flag.
And lastly, restoration of the survivors.
We can provide a safe and healing place for children who have been exploited.
An initiative that we have called the Way Ranch, where we built safe housing for minors.
We'll provide them the space where they can heal, where they can rest, where they can grow, and where they can find hope.
When the business community steps into this conversation is when the needle moves. And I'm going to lay out a business case for you today. I'm a businessman. I am an entrepreneur. Thank you. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I crave it because I come from a country where we don't have 501c3 status. So in my whole upbringing, if you want to do good, you make profit and you turn profit to good. It's for profit for good. So we don't have a special tax break or an incentive to raise capital from a donation standpoint. So when I came to the US, we just never had any fundraisers. We just built companies and took the profit and said, let's go rescue children. So I'll give you statistics real quick. There's a couple very important statistics, I think, to drive it home. Number one, there's not a single zip code in America where trafficking does not happen. That's not a gross statement. It's not hyperbole. It's a fact. Not a zip code. We're talking about a crime that exploits the vulnerability of people. You're talking about a crime, as you heard in that segment, where your perpetrator is not who you think. The buyer of this product, which is human beings, is on average a father of two married that earns north of $100,000 a year. So it breaks your whole case study of what you think, what this profile looks like who's the bad guy. The second you focus on a Jeffrey Epstein, yes, Epstein's a bad guy, and we've been on his case since 2007, and I'm a key informant there. But America historically in this issue has looked at the shiny object and then forgotten that it's in the local community. So it's Hollywood, it's Epstein, it's Sean Combs or P. Diddy, but it's not in Tarrant County. And certainly not if it's in Tarrant County, it's not in my neighborhood, and not in my kids' school, and not in my church. I tell pastors when they ask me, Jaco, do you think there's, potentially a predator in our church? I said, it's not is there a predator, it's who is the predator. This crime, when you look at analytics data, we run so much data. We do a lot of work with software and technology, and we build software companies purely to solve this crime. The numbers don't lie. X's and O's don't lie. When you start running EBITDA on your business, it is what it is. Market cap is what it is. There's hard numbers. There's no difference in the church, out of the church. There's no difference in the conservative movement, or the Democratic movement politically, on the percentage of men that engage, the percentage of children that are affected. This crime doesn't ask if you're black, white, Hispanic. Is your father a doctor? Are you a donor to the GOP or to the DNC? None of those factors matter. Zero. Geography does matter, not to whether a child gets trafficked or not, but the mechanisms used to traffic that child. So the mechanism that's used by a predator to lure, coerce, defraud a child in Oak Cliff, Dallas is very different than in Highland Park. But there's no difference in the amount of children that are sexually exploited from Oak Cliff to Highland Park. The methodology changes because the vulnerability of a child in Oak Cliff is different than the vulnerability of a child in Dallas. For a girl in Oak Cliff, you would literally earn her heart by giving her a hair weave, having her nails done, picking her up in a nice car, dropping her off at school, and raising her social status. That doesn't work in Highland Park. Girl in Highland Park's first car was probably a $45,000, $50,000 car. Getting her nails done is no longer an event. Having a Gucci purse or getting her hair done is just accepted. The girl in Highland Park is going to scream online for love and belonging. She's going to scream for, do you see me? Do you see my dreams? She's going to scream for, both my mom and my dad work. There's a whole lot of gaps in my life. I don't know where to fit in. I'm crumbling under peer pressure. Kids in Oak Cliff don't fold under peer pressure. Because they got family in jail. They hear gunshots. They got their head on a swivel. They don't break under peer pressure. They fight. Kids in Highland Park break under peer pressure. For an example, and you can go through every community and you start seeing the cases, and the cases speak for themselves. The methodology is there, but it doesn't profile. So to think that it's not in my neighborhood is the biggest mistake you can make. Because that means it will absolutely be in your neighborhood. It'll be a silent crime, and no child in your neighborhood would ever ask for help because there's not a general awareness that if this is here, we as a community are going to root it out. For a victim of this crime, let me put it to you in their perspective. Only 1.7% of victims ask for help.
How many?
1.7. So I want you to think about it here. You have, in a predator's eyes, the perfect slave is a slave that at some point believes that they're free. That's how it is. So you coerce a child over time, earn the child's heart over time, you co-opt the child into the act of crime. Guilt, shame, condemnation is on the child. They hide. There's sin. There's exploitation. There's massive threat. In my sister's case, Ilanka was trafficked for 6 years. Took us 6 years to rescue her. I was there the night she was rescued. She was 12 years old when she was trafficked. It is horrific. The stories I can tell you, the ways human beings are exploited. In Fort Worth, one of the most active counties in the country is Fort Worth. Go talk to Bill Wayburn. Call your sheriff. Go ask him. Not tens, 20s, hundreds of children. Hundreds of pedophiles. People flying from Germany. One of our cases, a guy flew from Germany to come buy an 8-year-old in Fort Worth. This is rampant throughout the country. Yes, this thing has poured rocket fuel on the problem. And yes, we've got major problems on the Hill. I'm flying to D.C. in 4 hours, I think. I'll be on the Hill tomorrow, sitting in the Senate building and in the House building. We are constantly at war, constantly. And you would be shocked if you know who I go at war with. You would be shocked. This issue is a very, very flammable, contentious issue because when I sit tomorrow in front of Jim Jordan, that happens at 11 o'clock. What I'm really asking Jim Jordan, and now he's one of the good guys, but I'm asking a man to fight an evil that normally men are the perpetrators. So you hope when you ask a man to fight the evil that he's not part of the problem. Because if the man's part of the problem, to my face, they'll say, this is horrific, this is awful. But he will not fight the poison well that he drinks from. I can take you to Genesis 3. This is biblical. He will not. So to think that this problem can solve itself, or people on the Hill, or President Trump. I serve on the White House Anti-Trafficking Council for the President. We are drafting, by God's grace, somehow this African kid is drafting executive orders for the President on how we combat this crime, how we reform foster care, why 67% of all children in Texas CPS are sexually abused. 67%. Why did Texas privatize CPS? Do you know that all the CPS, most of the CPS facilities in Texas are funded by Chinese and Arab money? They're for profit. Now you got Arabs and Chinese CCP advocates profiting on the backs of broken children with the American taxpayer paying for it. The system is so upside down that you can't you just unilaterally come in as a president and say, no more human trafficking. Because you can't legislate morality. We write amazing laws. We had a law passed last week that is a gangbuster law in this state that our organization wrote, championed. Tammy Rodriguez and our team had to go to war with the Texas House. It's House Bill 4623. It is a House bill that we had to write. We sit around tables in our office and we pray. Because I'm telling you, I don't know where you are in your faith, there is no way to solve this without the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm telling you. You cannot restore the life of a 12-year-old that's absolutely decimated, that has no love and belonging, that doesn't understand her purpose in life, that has no identity, that believes she's part of the problem, that believes she deserved it because it's a family member that did it to her. And you rebuild that life takes a monumental effort. You don't wave a wand. The women in the room, you want to know if it's in your zip code? There's sexual abuse in this room. For a fact. 1 in 3 American women have suffered sexual abuse. I'm not saying it's gone to the extent of trafficking, but there's sexual abuse in this room. Historically, women wait 30 years before they talk about it. Because of the trauma, because of the shame, the guilt. This is heavy stuff. That if a local community does not say, okay, we're no longer going to wonder if it's happening, tell us how, tell us what we can do. What can the small business community or the large, I was 2 days ago, what's today? Today is Wednesday. I spoke with Walmart executive leadership in Bentonville on Monday. So whether I'm standing with Fortune 1, because they're Fortune 1, and they say they're Fortune 1, they know it, but they're also one of the largest entities where trafficking flows in and out of their doors, because Walmart doors technically never close. And they're like, how do we stop this? What do we do? Practical things like what do we do in our restroom on the door? Can you train our cash register employees? What would, like the conversation Monday was, what would happen if a third of our staff in Walmart could see signs of human trafficking? I said, you would change the whole game. 196 million people, Americans, walk through a Walmart every week. That's 50% of the population. No one else has that access, not even the government. But they're still blind to it. So there's real things, whether it's Fortune 1 Walmart or your business. Awareness is power, knowledge is power. So, but teaching you what to see at the right time, because this crime evolves. It's always moving. What can you do? We create resources for small businesses. We've got a small business packet that's free. You go in and say, hey, just take this questionnaire, your employees. What is our awareness level? And then you realize, man, it's really low. And we go, great, let's send you training material. Get educated. What is your protocol? If you saw, it's a conversation I'm having with 7-Eleven at the moment. What happens if one of your guys inside the gas station sees and they believe it's trafficking? It's great that you see, but what's your protocol? Now what? You don't call Ghostbusters. Who do you call? And where do I go? And what do I say to a potential victim and what do I not say? You know, how do I... This is so nuanced that 31 years. I started, 1994 is when my sister was trafficked. I was 18 years old. Yes, my career started early, and I've had so many careers, man. I can't even tell you. Every single thing we do, whether it is vertical farming or writing IT for the Department of Defense, or building a television and film company, we pour the resources into rescuing children. It's just what we do. Coffee, we're in coffee. Because we have found that, hey, we need to move faster than just the general philanthropic engine can move. And the government's not coming to solve this problem. They can't. They ask us, the private sector, to solve the problem. So the power in the private sector, the power in you is immense. You have customers, you have supply chain, you have upstream, downstream, you have resource management. You're both in hardware and software. You're in physical goods. You're in people management, which is the most difficult thing to do. It's your most expensive thing to do, is to manage people. So you're in this conversation.
Jaco, can I ask you to speak to something specifically, since you're on this, and you brought up 4623?
Yeah.
I know there's people in here who have
What it is. Okay, I
children,
can. Yeah.
grandchildren,
Let me explain it.
because it shocked
Okay.
me the moment it was revealed.
Yeah, so 4623 is a bill that passed last week. Governor Abbott signed it by God's grace, but it was full-blown tribal war in the Texas House. So I'm sitting around a table, we do this all the time, and we do gap analysis. This is what I do 24/7. I sleep 4.5 hours a night, and I ask God, where's it broken? How do we fix it? So we identify this thing. Then we find out it's in 47 states where superintendents of your children's school, up until 4 days ago, all your kids' schools, all of Texas, superintendents have sovereign immunity. Okay? We tracked. Superintendents have sovereign immunity of school districts. Okay? That changed 4 days ago with our bill. Okay? Well, what's the result of sovereign immunity? We tracked, this is real, people. This is with FOIAs and PIRs, public information requests and FOIA requests with law enforcement. We tracked 6,888 sex crimes cases on children committed at school unreported to law enforcement. Where superintendents hold the information that there was a sex crime against a child at school by either a teacher or a coach or a peer, and they do not and did not have to report that to law enforcement because they have sovereign immunity. 6,000. Our organization took all the cases, we broke them down by district, and we dropped a packet at every staffer's desk on a Monday, I think it was. And the next morning when the rep came in, all hell broke loose. Because their staffers said, did you know there's 400 children that were sexually abused at school in our district with our constituents, and it's not reported to law enforcement? They cut our team at the mic. The House cut the microphone off when we're testifying on this. This is the kind of stuff that you don't know, but it results in massive sexual abuse. And when a child is abused and they ask for help, so now Sarah goes to school, Mr. Johnson, who's coaching her in tennis or whatever, sexually violated her, abused her, or even trafficked her. She reports it to the school counselor. The school counselor mandatory reports to their officer on campus. Officer has to report it to the superintendent. Superintendent has no obligation to report it out to local law enforcement. So the child that asks for help will never ask for help again. Never. Because they don't, I told you, 1.7% ask for help. 6,888 cases. We tracked the whole country. It's 9,000 in California. It is out of control. 47 states. So that bill passed last week. Gangbuster bill for the whole country to take sovereign immunity away from. So now a parent can, there's direct liability. A parent can sue the superintendent, the teacher directly, and Jaco, our teachers are going to get attacked. Children have had no cover. So let it go to court and let's try the case and let Lady Justice be blind and speak for herself. But you can't hold on to sexual abuse material. And then you can layer on top of that gender affirming and ideation and content and comprehensive sex ed, and it's just compounded. But if you cannot report, if you're not forced to report, they'll say, well, we're mandatory reporters. Great, but to who is what you should ask. They report to campus police. Outside law enforcement doesn't come in. The mayor of Frisco came to an event like this, sent 2 detectives to an event like this, larger, we have about 400 or 500 people, and told me prior to me speaking, you will not tell people there's trafficking in Frisco ISD. This is a good neighborhood, we have good people, it will hurt enrollment. And I actually wasn't going to talk about Frisco ISD, I made my whole speech. And I named case after case after case. And I named the mayor by name. And I named the 2 detectives in the room that came to silence me. This stuff happens every single day. Because I know that mayor drinks from the poison well. And what does that look like? A porn account? an OnlyFans account. Do you know that 88 million Americans, Donald Trump got around 81 million votes. 360 million people. We haven't had a census in forever. I think we're over 400 million people. 81 give and change people voted for the current sitting president. Praise God. Okay, there's 88 million Americans with OnlyFans accounts. If you don't know what OnlyFans is, you go on OnlyFans and you pay for people to exploit themselves. You pay for digital sexual content. 88 million Americans have accounts that actively spend money on sexual content, more than voted for the president of the country. You cannot get Ted Cruz, amazing, he's a friend. Just with Melania Trump, Take It Down Act. Take It Down Act passed, that's great. What does that mean? If there's CSAM material of a child online, we're saying take it down. And then the First Lady's office calls me and goes, Jaco, can you help us because we think we've got a problem? And I go, I know your problem. I knew your problem before you passed the bill. Because you can write a Take It Down Act bill, you still have to go to Mark Zuckerberg and ask him to take it down. You still have to go to Elon and ask him to take it down. And now you come full circle in Section 230. Nobody has the chutzpah on Capitol Hill to repeal and reform Section 230 that brings culpability and accountability on digital media. So it's just full circle, and Zuckerberg just go, we don't need to take it down. We're covered under Section 230. Our fight so often is with our own side. The number one defense, we've got a case in the Supreme Court at the moment. Hello, Texas. Let me ask you this. If I told you that, this is a fact, I don't recommend you do it because the algorithm will scan your retina. By the way, now your phone does a 2.7 second retina scan. If you look at any image for 2.7 seconds, it decides that you like that and it will flood your feed with it. Test me. Go tomorrow and look at a electric blue Volkswagen Beetle. Okay? They're going to push Volkswagen. You will just see Volkswagens pop up. It's retina scans tracking. Okay?
Just because you started talking about it.
Yeah. So, if you go on YouTube right now, and I don't recommend you do it, but if you go on YouTube right now and you would type in anything with sexual connotation, okay? Free pornography will pop up. 100% free that a 5-year-old can stumble upon. Okay? If I would go, hey Siri, say something. I do this example a lot. I'll have kids talk and Siri don't understand them and then just blast whatever, right? But you can get free pornography on YouTube right now. Right now, free pornography on YouTube. So we say, well, wait a second. Children should not be able to stumble upon pornography. Children should not be able to have pornography pushed at them if they have a phone. Definitely, pornography should be behind a paywall if it should exist at all. But a child should not get it free. Well, why free? Don't these porn companies want to make money? Of course, they give you free. You go to Costco, you get a sample for free. And then you buy the bag of chips. Okay, so they flood the market with free porn. So we make a simple little argument. Ken Paxton agrees. We say, hey, kids should not get porn for free. If you want a porn account as an adult, you should have to verify your age. It's called the age verification bill. That bill goes to Texas. They're scared to death of it. They punt it. Texas House and Senate cannot, in their infinite wisdom, decide that children shouldn't get porn for free. They punted to the 5th Circuit. 1st Circuit, 9th Circuit. We're in the Supreme Court of the United States arguing that porn shouldn't be freely available to children in this country. It is not just in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Comey Barrett, Ketanji Brown, Clarence Thomas, all said it is the most important case of this Supreme Court session. They're going to leave it for last. Because if they say yes, we're right, there's a war. If they say no, there's a war. Do you know the number one defense against our bill? First Amendment, freedom of speech. Who do you think's in that conversation? Just the Democrats? It's the Free Speech Coalition that represents both sides of the aisle with a $120 million K Street porn lobby behind them. This is the war. We're waiting for a reading. You'll see it come out. If we win, it will rock this country because we'll be able to defend children online. If we lose, watch out. Watch out. Right now, you go on the metaverse. This is Zuckerberg. On the metaverse, which is free for any child, no age verification, if you can say the word metaverse to Siri, it'll take you to the metaverse. And if you can say the word public swimming pool, it'll take you to a public swimming pool in the metaverse. Right now. Where you have an avatar. And at public swimming pool, your avatar can buy sex, sell sex, get raped, gang rape. Zuckerberg's argument is, but it's in the metaverse. And I go, buddy, it's brain chemistry. When you're 7 years old and your character is selling his or her body at a swimming pool, in a locker room, and you look at the chat that happens and the sound that comes with it, that's in the brain. That's seared into the brain. You leave the metaverse, it goes with the child. That child is now radically indoctrinated, chemically imbalanced. And we're covering this under the First Amendment and Section 230. It's insane. So I say all this to you not to make you despondent and go, dear God, this is an avalanche. We are snowed in. It's an avalanche. We are snowed in. But I'm telling you, you climb out of it the way God's Word says. Me and my house, we serve the Lord. Can't be in my house. Can't be in my business. Can't be in my friendships. Does that look like cancel culture? No, it looks like two friends sitting down. If Josh was my friend, say, when we're on the golf course in the 7th hole, I don't play golf with me. I do it every single, and I'm a good golfer. I mean, I'm a really good golfer. And I'll take the guys' putters in the 7th hole. They go, what are you doing? I said, let these guys play through. And I'll let one 4-ball behind us play through. They go, Jaco, what's up? And I go, I want to know if you're struggling with porn. Because I love you, I love your kids, I love your family, I love your wife. This is going to kill you, and I'm going to come arrest you. I'm going to come for you. Because you start here, you're going to end up exploiting children. You're going to start here, you're going to end up getting CSAM on your computer. So, as a brother to a brother, I love you enough to say, if you need help, I'm not going to publicly shame you and ostracize you, but let's get help. That's how you tackle this thing. One home at a time, one business at a time, and then you learn what could happen. And we could talk forever about generational giving and generational legacy. And I speak to every group under the sun, whether it's Halftime or it's, I mean, I just did a FinCEN conference where I'm talking to the top 350 bankers in the world, and I'm telling them, hey, if you would do something, predators won't bank the sale of children. You cannot, and you should not, and Abbott is about to miss this mark completely. You cannot at the moment, and you should not be able to bank THC marijuana. You can't. It's illegal. You can't run a marijuana business in Texas and bank it at Wells Fargo. But you can sell a child and bank it. It's not like the banks don't know. They know. They know. PayPal knows. Venmo knows. Through the open border nightmare, absolute 29 missions to the border, the absolute cluster nightmare of the border of trafficking, most of the trafficking finance was sent to South America through Western Union and through MoneyGram. They know. There's just no consequence. Doge rolls into town. I've been in the building with Doge. At HHS, for crying out loud. Doge rolls into town. It says, here's $250 million of fraud. Have you seen a single subpoena or a single arrest? So why magically would it stop? You know, when crime goes rampant, when it's caught and there's no consequence, then it goes double down. We run this show. We only prosecute 13% of sex crimes against children in this country. All other felonies combined are prosecuted at a 92% rate. These are the facts. 31 years. This is what I do. I don't know what you do for a living. This is what I do. They say 10,000 hours makes you an expert. 31 years, this is what I do. I do not, whether it's in Tel Aviv, Israel, or in Geneva last week, or the hell show that's coming to this country with the Soccer World Cup in 2026. I sit on the top 13 member council. I lead the council at the United Nothing, UN, and FIFA. I lead the conversation about what's coming to our country. When this nation in its infinite wisdom decided that 3 countries should host one sporting event, and no one thought that, oh, they're going to issue swift travel visas like crazy. A guy's going to watch a soccer game at FC Dallas in the morning. Tomorrow he's watching it at Cowboy Stadium. The next day he's in Mexico watching a game. The next day he's in Canada. It's going to be 10 million people. Then I meet with local PD, Dallas PD. They go, we have no plan. So there's so many gaps that predators can play into. The family court system, the most dysfunctional court system in the country, in Tarrant County specifically, where historically our judges get it wrong and they give children to the predators. Specifically. So for me, the last resort, for me the answer is always the church, but you're the church. It's not a building or a denomination, it's the people. The last resort for me is always going to go to people that understands supply demand, cause and effect, understand that money talks. It's the business community. Every problem I have found in this country, you're going to solve it through the business community. You want to resolve taxes in this country? Get out of D.C., get out of the pundits that want to talk about tax reform. Go to small business guys. Ask them, how do we reform tax? What do we do? You want to talk about how to fix the roads? Go to the business community. Labor force, workforce development. I don't care. I'll sit with Linda McMahon's team on education in 2 days. It's you. You have the answers because you wake up in the morning and you got to sign the front of the check. Whether your employees work or not, you're responsible. You're on the hook. You have to solve problems. Congress does not have to solve problems. They move problems around. They hide problems. Am I saying there's no good guys? There is good guys. But needle in a haystack, man, on this issue. Because this is like kryptonite for them. It's like, oh my gosh, it's sex. It's heavy. So there's so much that you can do as a small business, just as a family. First, I just want to start for your family to be safe, for your children to not be affected. 67%, 68, just under 68, 67.8% of all female collegiate students in America have already spoken to a predator through DMs. They've already engaged in conversation where the predator has reached out to her like a first date. Hey, I like that girl. Do you think I can get her number? I don't know, go ask her. That first engagement. Predators constantly, first engagement. If there's a married couple here, I don't know. Yeah, married couple. First date, go back to your first date. He tried to hold your hand. At some point, he tried to hold your hand. And I promise you, in his mind, it was like, if she keeps her hand, I'm going to hold it. If she pulls it away, I got some work to do. That's the predator. It's soft approach. It's not kidnapping. Under 2% of the crime is kidnapping. It's soft. It takes time. The average predator profiles at any given time and coerces 32 potential victims. 750,000 active predators online in America at any given second. 750,000 times 32. You're looking at 16, 17 million engagements at any second by predators testing a child, testing a woman, looking for a vulnerability. And at the second she goes, he sees me. He gives me value. He affirms. He likes my posts. They literally give their heart. They engage. And now it's a secret. Now they cover it. They protect it. At some point it's like, hey, let's meet up. This is just the reality. I'll close with this. You cannot arrest yourself out of this problem. You cannot legislate yourself out of this problem because both those are triage mechanisms. They're reactionary. We have to become proactive. The only way to get yourself out of this problem is we have to get a culture that understands that, one, people are not for sale, and I cannot be part of the problem. I cannot demand by my actions the exploitation of another human being to my satisfaction. Think of these stats real quick. Number one porn producing country in the world is America. Number one porn consuming country in the world is America. America Gen Z, which is now 13 through 26, it was 12 to 25 last year, but 13 to 26, is the number one age bracket of any societal group on the planet that exploits themselves online, that makes porn of themselves and shares it. We now have a culture that exploits themselves. The most time spent on pornography or exploitive material online per day is 19.5 minutes per day, and it's American Gen Z. We lead every category. But we're free. And we got the First Amendment, and we got the Mayflower, and by the way, the Constitution was written off of the Word of God, most cited document. But we're not. We can't be free to exploit people. So when you go, well, it's me and it's porn, it's nothing, I'm just watching porn, it's me. No, you're asking for someone to be exploited to your gratification. 83% of all legal, air quotes, legal prostitutes in Nevada, and it's not on the Vegas Strip, it's not legal on the Strip, but that high of a percentage in the 80s have filed sex trafficking charges and rape charges. There's massive force, massive coercion. If a child is sexually exploited at 7, their whole trajectory in their life of what is love and belonging, unconditional love, is thwarted. Number one concern I have at the moment is we do not have places for children. At all. And I told you, you can't send them to CPS. You cannot take a child that's sexually abused and put them in CPS. That is like painting red on one person and put him in a bull ring and saying the bull won't see him. The predators see. Doctors see doctors, lawyers see lawyers. You see in your business. You know your product. You know when it's right and when it's not. Predators, this is their product. So we are building an entity called the Way Ranch. Now, we have supported 172 NGOs for more than 20 years in the U.S. I did a fundraiser last night in Tyler, Texas, where we go and raise funds for other organizations. I think last year we raised $40-something million for other organizations, not for ourselves, to lift their arms up in their community. Last night I told Selah Sales, you've got to own Tyler, Texas. You can't do anything in Dallas. You can't do anything in D.C. Just Tyler. We go across this country. I mean, I travel 1 million miles last year, literally, to go to small communities, business luncheons like this, and say, just own it in your community. But we need places for children. Not just a place for a child, because the system, if you just build a place and the place is not accredited, it's not licensed, you don't get the child. The judge sends the child to CPS. So now we got to reform the whole foster care system. I can show it to you, wrote the proposal for Melania Trump that said, I want to make foster care reform my thing. And I said, this is your Lady Diana moment. Take your shoes off, roll your skirt up, and run with your sons in the dirt. Tell the people you're one of them. I literally told the First Lady's team, take her makeup off, get her out of Gucci, dress her in jeans and a t-shirt, put her hair in a bun, and let her go sit with children and say, kids matter, and America will rally around you. This is what we do. So we're building a safe house for children called the Way Ranch. It's in your city. It's Tarrant County. It's the first of its kind. There's nothing like it on the planet. The only thing like it is CPS, but that's an abomination. This is a God-fearing, God-honoring, with the money actually goes into the child. The child gets the therapy. Do you know that only 13% of children in CPS graduate with a GED? That's unacceptable. Why is the taxpayer not absolutely going nuts about that? The taxpayer should say, wait a second, we fund this, because that's state and federal funding. What do you mean the kids don't get therapy? What do you mean they get prescribed medicine and they never meet a doctor? The Way Ranch is going to fix that as a model for the nation. The Way Ranch is in the Oval Office. it's a divine inspiration from God to say, we're going to go rebuild a model. Licensed, accredited, trauma-informed care, but the funds are going into the kids, and we're going to take children like my sister that was decimated into her story. They can thrive. She's a mother of 3. She's a pioneer. She writes most of our curriculum. She's a worship leader. The woman is on fire because resources were poured in. Love and belonging came. You can do it. You can. So in your community, we have a vision for the Way Ranch to have multiple in Texas and one in every state. So the judges, Tim O'Hare, your judge. Tim O'Hare just gave us an award. Tim said, Jaco, I'll send every child to the Way Ranch. I'll order every child to go to the Way Ranch. They know how the system is broken. But there's no alternative. Because historically, the church said, well, we'll take the kids, but we're not going to play your game. You can't get the kid. The kid is in a custody battle. The dad's the pedophile, and the judge. And CPS is in a conversation. They're a mandatory agency to be called. Right? So we're stepping in with everything we got, and we're starting in Tarrant County, because that's where God said to start, to build this place. Yes, ma'am.
So we know that predators tend to go where their product is.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your protocol for making sure that the predators don't go exactly where
Such a good question.
they're
Such a good question.
constantly going?
So let me tell you, predators go where the product is that they can exploit. Predators do not go where the survivors are after they're rescued. In 31 years, I've never, not one time in my life, seen a trafficker show up at a safe house. And we place women in safe houses. Now, will they try to connect with her on a phone and lure her away from the safe house? Yeah. Sadly, we just had a girl that went back to California. She was rescued. We had a safe house in Dallas. But they don't show up like cartel with guns at a safe house. But there's extreme protocol. AI, cameras, ops, security, massive security. But they don't. They go where the potential product is. They become a Boy Scout leader, and then you've got 83,000 cases in the Boy Scouts of America.
So they tend to stay away from, quote unquote, what they would consider maybe damaged goods or people that are not...
Well, a child that has resources around them.
Okay, who's then trying to be reformed.
So by the time a child is rescued, law enforcement was involved. The child's now on the radar, where the child was under the radar.
Right.
Predators are cowards, ultimate cowards. They don't want noise, which is why kidnapping went way down. When they start learning that, wait a second, we can indoctrinate a child over time to with a child would at free will talk to me, why would I kidnap a child? Because that's like the dogs come out, the lights go on, they look for me. So yes, so the second the child has services wrapped around him, they move on. There's other product in their mind. Sick, but why? Path of least resistance. To your point, ground zero of solving this problem is actually the child. First line of defense is actually the child, age appropriately. Now, some conservatives have fallen off the cliff on the other side, and they said, well, if they're going to indoctrinate my children, I'll tell my children about, sex at 5. No, you're now indoctrinating your child. Your child's not ready for the conversation. But age appropriately, if the child knows what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. My 10-year-old doesn't know sex trafficking language, but if you talk to my 10-year-old today, she'll tell you, my dad for a living protects children, rescues girls, and helps girls heal. Why? Because there are bad people that want to hurt children. What does that look like? It looks like they're not trusting their personal space. They're telling children to lie to their parents. They're telling children to keep secrets. This is how my kids would explain this to you. Because at 10 years old, they don't need to use the word sex or rape. But when she turns 13 and puberty comes, we're going to progress the conversation. But they know what's okay and what's not okay. My 10-year-old walks into a store and stops and goes, Dad, that guy doesn't look right. And I go, what are you seeing? Just that behavior. I don't think, I'm like, good, let's go to the other aisle. Turn their lenses on. Doesn't mean they're profiling people and call him a predator. She just, I don't feel right. Do you know that every single woman, you can go research this, there's books on this, every woman that's ever suffered rape, okay, just rape, single rape, which is horrific, will say something that day told them not to go there, not to park there. That intuition, we don't have as men, it's in women. Normally women ignore it. What happens when we train our young girls to listen to it? What happens when we train our 12-year-old boys that you are actually here on this planet to be a defender of women? Don't give me this nonsense, we don't need men. Men need women and women need men. That's why God made Adam and Eve in the garden and we're equal helpmate. But if we tell our 12-year-old boys, you defend every single girl on the planet because you pray that some other dude is defending the girl that you're going to marry. That's a cultural shift that has to happen, practically. Does that make sense? So you can't be part of the problem and exploit girls. You can't take your phone out at Columbia University when a girl's being punched in the face and guys are filming it. Where I come from, your grandpa put you in the hospital. Okay? That's a cultural thing. We can fix that. A little tough love. But we can fix that with education before anybody's exploited. Before you need triage of a policy or a rescue. We got to think differently. Yes, ma'am, sorry.
I was going to ask you earlier, I'm not going to get into a long story, but when my niece and nephew came to live with us, the SWAT team said it was the worst case they'd seen in 22 years. So it's not uncommon that my niece was sex trafficked, etc. One of the things I want to ask, and I don't want to deviate too much on the topic, but I'm very, very, very passionate about this. Because the CPS system is so broken, and CPS did put them with us, because they're so broken, one of the things I have fought for, and it's gone nowhere in Texas, I'd rather see a kid go with a relative
kinship placement
than to go with other people, but they don't give relatives any money.
Yeah, that's right.
So
100%.
I work the prison system.
She's right.
Prison mysteries, so I don't know if there's ever been those conversations, but it's like
it's active in our. We have policy we're drafting. It's active in our organization.
Because right now I just help them when other kids would go places.
Yeah.
Physically or pay for it. So
what's your name?
It's Lisa.
Lisa. What Lisa's talking about is this. Think of it something to make it very palpable for you. Think about school choice, where we say the money should follow the child.
Yes.
Right? Now think about that in foster care. The money doesn't follow the child. If it's a foster family that's registered in the system, that has no vetting, hardly ever sometimes, right? They get money, but if you place the child with grandma that is actually healthy, we're telling grandma, great, we'll place it with you, but you get nothing. That's not right. Is the money not for the child? Or is it for the foster family? You should ask that question. So the money does not follow the child. So they don't place children with family. So now here's what happens. Sarah is 9. Her father abuses her. Johnny and Jimmy are 5 and 3. They don't know their father's their abuser. Their father's their hero. We go in with law enforcement. We rescue Sarah. You blow a whole family up. Because CPS comes in and they see dollar signs. They take all 3 kids. They separate them. Now Johnny doesn't know his brother for the rest of his life. But there's an uncle over there and an auntie that loves these kids, that has been praying their knees through because their mom is maybe addicted to something and dad's an abuser, and the court goes, you can't get him. And even if you got him, we give you no money. It's broken. Yes, 100%. You're over the bullseye on that topic. So we're just addressing it like, hey, you just passed it in a house in Texas, school choice, money follows the child, foster care, money should follow the child. Now, it's not in this session or this special session, but we're going to get there next session. Yeah. Any other quick questions? Sorry, I've been very verbose.
Yeah, I have a question about, we've talked a lot about women and girls.
Yeah, boys.
But I've known several boys that have also
Men.
been exploited.
Yeah.
And so is there any difference in how we have those conversations and compare them?
Yes. You know, when you raise a son or daughter, I've got 3 daughters, 1 son, but when you raise a son and a daughter, you cannot raise them the same. Same house, same parents. There's a different way of raising them. There's just something else that has to happen in a boy's life by his dad at certain markers. And you're going to get me on a whole big conversation. The reason American men historically, and I say it with great respect, I'm a very proud immigrant to this country. I'm a proud citizen of this country. But I was raised very different. I come from Africa. It's tribal. And so American men don't have a rite of passage at all. American men don't have this moment where your father takes you and sits you down and say, this is the day. This is the day when the old things fall away and you become a man. And this is how you're going to steward the name of this family and the people in this family. And there's a moment. There's a rite of passage. Every other culture around the world has initiation and rite of passage. And I'm not talking initiation through pain, but it's a moment. Because men live by moments. You have to call a man up. Men don't just rise on their own. You put a guy in the military and you put him on a SEAL team, you reduce them all down to you're nothing, you're all the same, and you build identity, and they'll die for each other. You slap a jersey on their head, put a star on the side of a helmet called the Cowboys. I played in the NFL. They'll kill themselves on the field for guys that aren't even friends of theirs. I mean, on the football team, when I played at the Rams, of the 52 guys, I was friends with 3. I want to go to their homes, but on the field, I got 2 knee reconstructions, my jaw broken. For what? For these guys. Because I got called up. Fathers are not calling their sons up to something greater than them, greater than making money. You've got to call men up. And now in a society where they go, no, beat them down. Emasculate them. Tell them they have no say. Tell them they have no voice. We could talk forever about this. So the predator just goes, that suits me well. You asking what is a woman in a country? That suits me well. And people are flailing around answering what's a woman. The predator goes, I love this. They'll never defend their women. Never. They won't defend their girls. There's reason. This is why we get so mad when these things happen. And I go, you guys don't know how it's going to. Let me give you a simple example in Texas. By the way, Dallas was the #1 city in the world 4 years straight now for drag shows for kids.
For what?
Drag shows for kids. So one last weekend. Dallas, Texas. You go, how's that possible? The greatest strategy in war is take their strength. Why do you think they want Texas purple? Texas purple. Ilhan Omar, constantly talking about Texas purple. Focus is Texas, because if you can take Texas, this country is in real trouble. Chicago's fallen off a cliff. We can make it without Chicago. We can make it without Illinois. Heck, we can cut California off and let it float to Europe. But you lose Texas, that's it. That's it. So they come for Texas. The number 1 state selling sexual books in schools, because we're the only state with a surplus, $28 billion surplus. California has a $57 billion deficit. They can't buy curriculum. So all the curriculum in the country that has got sexual content in it for kids was sold to Texas. Now you got to ask, well, what is our state school board of education doing? Good question. This is how you pull the thread on the sweater and you start seeing, we're under attack in Texas. We need to fortify. We can't have a house that loses its mind and kicks its own attorney general off the floor a week and a half ago to have a bill, and then the very next bill is to cancel an anti-human trafficking bill. It's like, these are real things, people you vote for. So it's so nuanced. Like I said, it's almost too much. What can I do? I can take a packet. Tammy, do you mind coming up here real quick? I can take this packet to my business, and I can have my employees read this packet. I can take this pamphlet and put it in my bathroom stalls at my business. I can educate my team. I can answer these questions in my family. And if I don't have answers, I can ask this organization to give me information and empower me. If that's all it's free. If that's all you do, you're winning. You're in the fight. I'm going to make sure my house doesn't have exploitation. I'm going to teach my son to defend women. I'm going to tell my daughter, you don't get your identity online. No matter who likes your stuff and who says you're cool and cute, they're not for you. They're not going to be there 2 o'clock in the morning when you need real help. Your high school buddies are not going to be with you when you're 45. That's called a 45-year-old sleeping on his mom's couch, still hanging with frat boys. Life moves on. So this packet alone, and then if God stirs your heart, and say, listen, this Way Ranch has to get built. Has to get built. This nation has to have a model. And I'm not being self-righteous saying, well, look at us. I'm just stewarding a vision from God with 31 years of experience, and we're just doing it right. By the way, the person that runs this for us ran CPS Texas. She became a whistleblower in CPS Texas to our organization, leaked documentation to us, leaked all the horrific things, and then said, I'm out. I want to serve God. We know what it looks like in the belly of the beast. The Way Ranch will be different. It will transform this country, and you could partner with it. And there's so many ways to partner with it. If anything, just pray.
Yeah, and Katie's going to hand out to everybody our brochure on the Way Ranch. It is going to be here in Tarrant County. We're super excited because I'm born and raised Texas girl. I've been in Tarrant County a lot. I love Fort Worth, and the people here are salt of the earth.
Yes.
So we are super excited. We have so many people call our office and say, how can I get involved? I want to volunteer. A lot of our work is sensitive, so we can't actually always have people volunteering in our office on a day-to-day basis. But now we have something so tangible that you can actually have an impact on. So we are going to be breaking ground here in the very near future on our 75 acres that is gorgeous. And just think, if you, has anybody in here ever been involved in foster or adoption?
Well, there, right there.
I know you have. Okay. Just imagine that you have a family member or friend that you know wants to adopt or become a foster parent, but they're not equipped. Our organization has created curriculum that will actually train, and we will partner with churches and organizations even like yours to train parents and grandparents how to take in a child, much less a child that has had some type of abuse, emotional, mental, sexual. Because so many times a child gets placed with multiple families because that family's not equipped to deal with the trauma that comes with it. And they're usually not even told.
Or they don't have the wraparound services around them.
Right. So it'll be much more than a stabilization facility for children at risk and survivors of trafficking. We will be stewarding and partnering with organizations and churches throughout North Texas to be trained and qualified. But we'll have volunteers on site. We'll have, as Jaco said, the money will go into the child.
And for those of you who know foster care, GRO, CPA, so it's a GRO, General Residential Operation, where children can stay until they're 22, right? But it's also a CPA, Child Placement Agency, to where we can actually adopt kids out to family members or place them in foster, because ultimately you want a child to have a family.
Yes.
A child should be in a family, a loving, caring family, whether that's biological or not. Non-biological families do amazing, amazing work when it's healthy, but they never get services. They don't get support.
Or schooling.
Or etc. So consider the Way Ranch. Tammy can talk to you about it forever. I went over my time. I'm so sorry I kept you so long.
If anybody wants to be in contact, I'm happy to give you my card. I am the executive director, and we are over here in Fort Worth a lot, so it would just be a blessing to get to know each and every one of you better and to serve you and your family. So thank you all so much for your time, and thank you for coordinating this and inviting us.
Thank you.
300,000 American kids per day, today, sold for sex. Not immigrants, that's a whole different number.
On average, the buyer of sex is a father of two married that earns north of $100,000 a year.
You want to know how close it gets? It was my sister. But recently, I get the calls from wives going, it's my husband.
This is in many families' homes, and they don't know. We've chalked it up as, as bullying. We've chalked it up as, a personality disorder or anxiety or peer pressure. Meanwhile, the child's talking to a predator.
These groomers take time. 1% of trafficking in America today is kidnapping.
Children are today indoctrinated over social media platforms. They're lured by predators. They're coerced by predators. They self-implicate by sharing nude images of themselves.
She's going to cry online for attention, and the pedophile is sitting there saying, I'm here, baby. And he's in.
Textbook, it's how this works.
A school can't get sued for actually having pornographic images placed in front of children. How do you reconcile that?
We just passed a bill, and it is a zero porn, zero obscene content through any digital media and public-private. We can't stop it, and we have to write new laws.
You were covering the crisis on the border. I mean, it is clear child trafficking is happening at an enormous rate.
There's so much cover up at the border, Glenn. Those are little people.
He sent me a text with a picture of these children laid out on the ground sleeping, and one small one crawling around naked.
It is in fact in the family where we fortify and protect the child.